Welcome back to another video by Toolbox Tips. Today we're finishing up a bunch of the floor in the one unit on a property I own, and because I already had a lot of the baseboard done and the casing done and I'm just replacing the floor, I decided not to remove all the baseboard that was existing, and I'm just going to be adding some quarter round to all the unit. So I need to get my measurements now so I can order all that. So normally what you do is you've got your standard tape measure, you're going to go around, make notes, measure out every single wall in the unit and figure out what you need for quarter round. So instead of going around and measuring out the entire unit with my standard tape measure, instead we're going to be using the CIGMAN CD-80 laser distance measurer. So CIGMAN was nice enough to send us this to try out for our project, and I've been playing around with it a little bit, and I have to say this is amazing. You got the ability with how small it is to get this into a very tight space, as well as there is a ton of different features with this. So before I actually show you using this, I'm just going to show you some of the features this has because I've been playing around with it a little bit and this is pretty cool. So right now we're set in feet to just measure out a standard distance, but we can do length, you can do an area, volume, the Pythagorean, you can do angles, a level, you've got a tape measure, you've got a light setting here. So let's jump in and I'll show you the tape first. So you can see this is pretty accurate here as we're moving around. So from the table I'm on to the top of the ceiling here, which is under a bulkhead, is 44 inches here. So that's pretty cool. We're going to try the level here. So we can see the table I'm on is a little out of level, but you could see as this adjusts back and forth, it'll show you what degrees you're at here. For the indoor outdoor, you can change the brightness settings here. So the outdoor, you may not be able to pick this up on the camera here, but for the indoor, it blacks the screen out. For the area, it'll let you grab measurements. So if you're doing something like a drywall count, you can measure off once and you can do your measurement up to the ceiling and it'll give you the square feet that you need for that wall. And same with volume. You're going to grab 3 measurements here. So you can do a volume count of an area. But we're going to do the length measurement here. So let's jump into a room and I'll show you how this works. So what we're going to do is we are set up here in the feet position, but we're actually going to change this and move it into inches. And we're going to add all of our inches up at the very end and then divide that out by the 12 so we know exactly what we need here. So we're going to go back into functions. We're going to go to settings and we're on here. So we're going to stay on the feet and we're going to move to inches there. So now we're in inches. So we're ready to measure. So we're going to throw this on the wall. We're going to hit the first measure button. It's going to pin out the red light and it's going to tell us we're 118.46 inches. So we'll grab our second measurement now. Our second measurement, we're going to pin here on the wall and we're going to grab it. And we're 130.43 inches. We're going to grab our next measurement. So same thing. We're going to pin this in here. And we've got our next measurement here at 127.32. So one thing that I've noticed that would be nice is this will only save 3 measurements and we'll store them here on the front screen. It would be nice if this had the ability to go around the room, pin all of your measurements, and then compile all the totals for you in one position so you don't have to manually add these up. So we're going to add these 3 up, and then we're going to grab our next 3 measurements and work around the rest of the room. So we're ready to grab our next 3 measurements. So we know we've done this direction, that direction, and this direction. We need to get this small one. So we're just going to set the laser here again. We hit our measure, the red light comes on, and we're 6.57. So that's going to be our first measurement for the next 3. So we're going to grab our next measurement, which again will be a half measurement here. So same thing, we'll pin it. You can see the red light. It grabs our next one, 13.38. We'll grab our next one. So I'm going to use my hand here to give me a stopping point. So 16.61. So let's add those 3 together, and then we can grab the rest of the room measurements. So again, we're able to grab this next corner here. So we're going to pin the laser one more time here again. 26.14. 46.81. And we'll grab our last one here. 154.96. So we'll add those 3 up, and then we just have to grab the internal of the closet. So again, we're going to grab our internal measurements. So we're going to pin this on the inside here. 19.17. 67.28. 19.56. So we just have 2 more measurements to grab after, which is this inside wall and the same on the other side. So again, we need 2 final measurements here. So we'll pin the laser here. We're going to flip it upside down. We've got our first at 13.93, and we'll grab our second at 11.53. So let's add those 2 final numbers together. So now that we've compiled all the measurements that we had here, we have 772 inches, which is about 64.5 feet, give or take. So we're going to round that up to just 65 feet. That'll give us a little bit extra there for just some of those offcuts and things along those lines. So again, using this, the only thing that I think would be nice with a measurement like this would be if it compiled all these numbers together for you and gave you a total at the end. That would save you having to mark all those numbers down. But right away, doing this and using a tape measure, this is extremely fast. So you can grab 3 measurements in a matter of like 5 seconds compared to stretching out the tape measure, making sure, hey, I'm exactly in the corner where I need to be, where this will give you the full measurement right off of where you're standing when you put this on the wall. So I have to say, using the CIGMAN distance measure compared to a standard tape measure definitely is a lot faster. Even though you're still adding up the measurements that you're pulling with this, you'd be doing the same with the tape measure. But this is something that I think any carpenter or anyone working in construction, especially concrete, things like that, should have something like this with them at all times. Where my tape measure, I've got a standard 25 foot. This will measure up to 262 feet, which is 80 meters, give or take, which is a crazy ability for something so small. And the fact that this has so many options for measuring more than just a straight distance here, like the level, is absolutely wild for this small compact device here. And the fact that this does more than just distance here, again, if you're doing something like a concrete pad, you can pin out your 2 lengths and the depth of the concrete you need, and it'll tell you how much you need there. You've got the ability to throw this on the shelf and see if you're in level or not. This is crazy for how small and compact this tool is. This is something I definitely recommend picking up if you're doing a lot of measurements like that and you want to speed up what you're doing. So if you enjoyed this video or you have any questions about this tool, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe.